What's up everybody, welcome to Rotor Riot Workbench. I'm Let's Fly RC, and today we're going to be setting up your RadioMaster TX12. If you purchased one of our bind and fly drones from the Rotor Riot store, or if you're following along with one of our build videos and you have our pre-configured, pre-tuned dump file for your flight controller, we have a pre-configured setup file for your TX12 radio to make it really easy to get started. I'm going to show you the steps you will need to follow to set up your TX12 radio and get it ready to bind to your drone. In the box you'll find a sticker sheet, a user manual, an antenna, a USB cable, and a plug in case you're not using the antenna port. We're going to set the plug aside because we will be using the antenna port for this setup video. One more important thing you'll need for your radio is a pair of 18650 batteries. The first thing that jumps out at people when they see this radio is this sticker on the front of the radio. This sticker basically tells you that if you flash your radio to a newer firmware, you need to make sure you have the proper firmware version. The version of firmware that's on this radio is the proper version for what we're doing. So just peel the sticker off and forget it's there. The most important step is to make sure that before you do anything else, you install the antenna. If you were to power the radio up without the antenna screwed in, you can seriously damage the internal transmitter of the radio. So let's do that now. Let's put this antenna on and screw it in place. You'll notice that this radio has two USB ports, one on the top and one on the bottom of the radio inside the battery bay. The one that's on the bottom inside the battery bay is only for charging. So if you're going to be doing any type of setup to this radio, we're going to be using the top USB port, not this bottom one. While we have the bottom open, let's go ahead and install the batteries. First, you want to slide out this tray, which has its plug already on there, and you'll notice you have another sticker. This sticker is basically telling you that you need to make sure the batteries go in the right direction or you can fry the radio. Just like a AA battery, you're going to have a large circle and a small circle. The large circle, or the negative terminal, is going to go towards the spring. The battery is also marked with a positive and a negative, so that you know which direction it is, just in case your circles on the brand of battery you have aren't as noticeable as these. The large pad is the negative in this type of battery, and the small pad is the positive. We're going to put the negative towards the spring on both sides. Now that we have our batteries installed in the proper orientation, we're going to go ahead and plug this into the radio and slide it in place. This battery connector has two fingers sticking up out of it. You're going to line those two fingers up with the two slots that are cut into the battery connector of the radio. Before we plug this connector in, we need to slide the battery tray into the radio. Once the battery tray is slid into the radio, plug in the connector in the proper direction. If you've installed the battery connector correctly, the red wire should be on the right-hand side like you see here. Tuck the wire safely inside and close the door. Now that we have the batteries installed, we're going to power up the radio to test its function. To power on the radio, we're going to press and hold this power button until all four squares show up on the screen, and then release.
Welcome to EdgeTX. Throttle warning.
If you see throttle warning when you power up your radio, lower the throttle all the way down to clear the warning.
Switch warning.
If you see switch warning, flip all four switches to the farthest position forward or away from you to clear the warning. Now it's time to install the custom models. You can find a link in the description to all of the files and resources you will need for this radio. Let's go ahead and power down the radio by pressing and holding the power button until all four of the squares go away, and then release. Download the TX12 models that are linked in the description and save them to a folder on your computer. Next, we're going to power up the radio one more time.
Welcome to EdgeTX.
After the radio has powered up, take the supplied USB-C cable that came with your radio, plug it into your computer's USB port and into the top USB-C port of the radio. Just like this. Once the USB-C cable has been plugged into your radio, you'll see three different options of the radio. USB joystick for playing simulator, USB storage, and USB serial. We're going to select USB storage so that it will connect to our computer and we can place the files that are needed on the internal hard drive. Use the jog wheel to rotate down to USB storage and press in on the jog wheel to select it. Once you've plugged in your USB port and selected USB storage, you should see two drives pop up in Windows File Explorer or on Finder on a Mac. I'm going to show you how to do this on Windows. We want to select the USB drive rather than the RMTX12 drive because a USB drive is going to give us access to the internal SD card. The folder we're concerned with is the models folder. So double-click the models folder and open it up. The first thing you're going to want to do is delete the models that are currently on the radio by selecting them and pressing delete. Next, we're going to go into the TX12 models folder that you downloaded, and we're going to copy and paste these 4 model folders into the radio. If a window pops up asking if you want to copy without properties, go ahead and click Do This for All items and click Yes. Now that we have the models copied to the radio's SD card, we can unplug the USB port. Now that the models have been installed, we should be able to press the model key and see all of the models that are currently on the radio. At the time of the recording of this video, we have included 4 different radio models: ELRS, FR Sky, Ghost, and Crossfire. This may be updated as time goes on. INT in the model name means that the model uses the internal module, and EXT models will require an external module in order to use them. You will need to choose the model that corresponds to the receiver your drone has installed. To change models, rotate the scroll wheel to highlight the model name and press in on the scroll wheel to select. If your drone has an ELRS receiver installed, you don't need to change models because that model is already selected. Now press one more time to select the model. The star moves to the Ghost model, and Ghost is now the current model of the radio. To go back, rotate the scroll wheel to highlight the model of choice, press in to show the menu, and press once more to select the model. Now we're back on the ELRS model. The final step in setting up your radio is binding it to the receiver. I will have separate videos for each of the radio protocols to show you their individual binding processes. I will add their links to the description as they are recorded. Thanks for watching, guys. Let us know what type of drone you're hooking your TX12 radio to, and we'll see you next time on Rotor Riot Workbench.